Nahar. Be socially conscious, caring, and creative. To name a few of her achievements, she is an entrepreneur, she is an author, she is a teacher, she is a healthy vegetarian cooking expert, and she volunteers in several organizations. She is also a founder of Icon Shakti, and especially she is a yoga Pilates expert. She has been practicing yoga on a personal level for more than 30 years. Yes, that's correct, 30 years. I have been practicing yoga with Vidya for over 12 years. She is truly an inspiration to me and always reminds me of healthy mind and body. She also has a channel on YouTube where she posted several videos of yoga, Pilates, dance and breathing. Please do check out these videos. They could be very valuable if you want to learn and practice yoga. You can also learn about her activities at vyayam.com and balodhyan.com, vyanjan.us, vinyas.us and chairyoga.org. Today, Vidya will share with us the importance of breathing, connections of our breath and qualities of a good breath to help us de-stress our lives.
Thank you, Mamta, for the kind introduction. Congratulations to the organizing committee for this wonderful program, and thank you to all for taking this time to be here to connect with your friends to celebrate the International Women's Day. In the 8 steps of yoga, the first step is yama, then niyama, third step is asana, then pranayam, which you probably know is the breath control, and then pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. So one whole stage has been assigned to pranayam, to practice of breathing. So why is it so important? Breathing is the only process in the body that can be done consciously or unconsciously. What are some of the conscious processes in the body? Eating. Eating, yeah, exactly. Are you deciding not to answer my questions? That's kind of conscious, right? Or if I ask you to raise your right hand, can you do that? Yes, yeah, easy. It's very easy. So these are some of the conscious processes that you do something with your body physically. What are some of the unconscious processes in the body? Breathing. Breathing could be what else? Sweating, yes. What else? How about your inner organs functioning, your liver functioning, your kidneys, your blood circulating, your cells multiplying, dying? Those are all inner organs functioning at an unconscious level. We know that's happening, but we can't really control. Can you tell your liver today, hey, please do some overtime, I'm going to eat some junk today? You can't really tell your liver at that level. But you can tell yourself how to walk, how to get up. So that's a difference between conscious and unconscious processes. But breathing is the only process in the body that can be done consciously and unconsciously. Said breathing is unconscious because most of the times we do think breathing is unconscious because it just happens. Even if you forget to breathe consciously, body needs to breathe to remain alive in this world, and that's why it just keeps going unconsciously. But what if you decide to breathe consciously? What do you think will happen? So I got an answer that if you breathe unconsciously, we do not take deep breaths. Why does that happen? Our breath has connections to our mind and body. There's a 3-way connection between mind, body and breath, and each of them affects the other 2. For example, if I'm running really hard, or if I'm doing some strenuous work, or if I'm right now talking and walking and doing everything together. So what do you think, how is my breathing right now? It's faster, it's shallower, it's quicker. So now my physical activity took control of my breathing. How about if I'm really mad or sad and I'm fighting, I'm agitated? And so what will that do to my breathing? Same thing. So my emotions or my physical activity took control of my breathing. And on the other hand, if I start breathing consciously, I can actually alter the state of mind and body with right kind of breathing. That's the importance of breathing consciously. So I'm going to give you a quick test here. For a second, just close your eyes and notice your breath. What's happening physically in your body in this moment when you're breathing in and out. Don't change your breathing in any way. Just breathe how you breathe usually, normally, not changing in any way. Take a few moments to watch. Most of the times we don't watch how we breathe, what we do when we breathe. So I want you to take this time now. Close your eyes for a second and watch. Imagine you have to describe your breath to an alien who doesn't know what a breath is. And how would you describe what that breath is? Anybody ready to volunteer right now? What's happening in your body when you're breathing in and out? Any answers from this side? It's very relaxing, okay, but that's more at the mental state. It's very subjective. You thought it's relaxing. But what's happening physically that I can also see in you from outside, because you have to describe your breath to somebody. Pardon me?
Air is entering from your nostrils inside and coming out.
Okay, so how did you decide that? How did you know that air is going? Right now we are sitting in the sea of air. How do you prove the existence of air?
Feel some warmth
You feel warmth which way?
going inside to coming out.
So you feel the warmth inside the nostrils?
Yeah, somewhere at the tip of it.
Okay, so again it's very you feeling that. It's not you can describe to somebody to show from outside, right?
It's something going in because you can actually feel outside the body.
Correct. So tell me what's happening physically in your body.
Chest is expanding and contracting.
What's expanding? Lungs expanding. Lungs are on the inside. You don't know what lungs are doing right now. What's happening outside? Your chest is. Which way it's moving? Up and down. Up with inhale or up with exhale? Inhale, chest is going up. Exhale, relax. Right? Is everybody feeling it the same way? Yes, inhale, stomach goes in, chest rises, exhale, relax, right? Okay, now think of a balloon. When you put air in a balloon, what happens to the balloon? It expands. And when the air goes out, what happens to the balloon? It contracts. So that's what tells you that the air went in, because that incoming air has volume and the air went into balloon, it made it expand, and when you threw the air out, the balloon became smaller. So with each inhale and exhale, the air is going in the body and it's making your chest rise with inhale. That means where is the balloon in the body here? It's in your chest. And you are pulling the stomach in. So is this deep breath or shallow breath? It's a shallow breath. It's at the chest level. You're not letting that breath reach down towards your diaphragm, towards your abdomen. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that separates your chest and abdominal cavities. So when the air comes down, it flattens the diaphragm, it makes your ribs flare out. If you let it reach down, deep down here and make it a deep diaphragmatic breath. And so when you contract the stomach, the air goes out just like we squeeze the balloon. So it's exactly opposite. When I inhale, I actually let my stomach relax and expand because I want my air to go all the way deep down towards the diaphragm. And when I exhale, I actually contract the stomach. So instead of contracting the stomach with inhale and relaxing with exhale, think about letting the stomach relax with inhale and contract with exhale. Let's try it this way. Bring your right hand on your belly button and left hand on the chest. I'm doing your mirror image. Right hand on the belly button, left hand on the chest. So ideally, which hand should be moving with which breath? Diaphragmatic breathing. So right or left? Right hand, which way? Inside with what? Inside with inhale or exhale? Well, there you go, you got it. So in with your exhale. We're going to start with exhale first because there is always that we can throw out. So first breath is always exhale. Think about throwing out, releasing, letting go. So bring your right hand on the belly button and exhale. Draw the navel in away from the right hand. And inhale. Let the stomach relax and expand. Did you feel that? I think it's hard to feel it when the stomach is filled with the food, right? Alright, so let's try it differently. This time bring your fingers towards the center. So it goes like this. So bring your fingers towards the center like this. And as I'm exhaling, my fingers are to the center. As I inhale, my stomach is expanding and fingers are separating. I am not separating my fingers. The incoming air is doing the job. Exhale, stomach goes in. Inhale, relaxes, separating the fingers. Do you see that? Is anybody feeling that? Is anybody trying that?
Yeah.
Unless you try it, you wouldn't feel it.
Yes.
So you have to try it. Okay. So, why do you think it's important to breathe diaphragmatically. Is it important? Why can't we breathe chest breathing with chest rising and chest falling versus stomach expanding in and out? What's the difference? Relaxation, why does it make you relax?
Because you are taking a complete breath and your oxygen that fills your lungs.
Okay, so because she's saying because if you're taking a complete breath, so it fills your lungs. But again, lungs are at here, but you're on the right track there because you're taking a fuller breath, more oxygen is coming in all the way deep down towards your diaphragm, and you're throwing out more carbon dioxide, more toxins when you're contracting the stomach and throwing it out all the way from deep down abdomen. Does it make sense? Okay, so you're getting more nourishment and you're throwing out more toxins. Another advantage of this deep diaphragmatic breathing is more at a physical level. When you're actually contracting the stomach with exhale and relaxing with inhale, what's happening in the stomach muscles? What's happening in the stomach muscles? Pardon me? Muscles are tightening, yes. Yes, so you are contracting the muscle, that means you are working the stomach muscles, and this is your core area. Have you done those abdominal curls going on the floor to strengthen the core? How many of you have done those? And so you have to actually get down on the floor to strengthen the core, and you actually do the same thing, right? Contract the abdominal muscles and relax. Now imagine you are at work, or if you are watching a movie, or you are doing shopping. Can you get down on the floor in the middle of your meeting or watching a movie and doing your shopping and just start doing your crunches because you didn't get to do your abdominal work? Can you do that? No. But can you breathe in all those places? Yes, breathing is appropriate no matter where you are. Nobody's going to ask you, hey, stop breathing, it's not appropriate, please go home and breathe, right? So if you're breathing every single moment of your day, in fact, every single moment of your life, breathing is our companion from birth to death. And if you can use it to your advantage by contracting the stomach muscles for exhale and relaxing for inhale, that strengthens your core, that supports your lower back. How many of you have low back issues? If you have low back issues, please start practicing your diaphragmatic breathing. Most of us, if we sit on the chairs, our lower back starts compressing, contracting, and we don't bring so much blood, energy, oxygen because we don't breathe diaphragmatically. Lower back has no muscles, the muscles are in the front. So if you start contracting your abdominal muscles for exhale and relax for your inhale, that's going to build a solid support system for your lower back. And also, the stomach is the fire center of the body. Have you heard of digestive fires? Yes, there is literally fire that happens in the body. The food that we consume is actually literally burnt into calories. There is oxidation that happens. So if you are bringing blood, energy, oxygen to the abdominal area, that improves your digestive system, that improves your eliminatory system. Those are the advantages at the physical level of your deep diaphragmatic breathing, and going towards de-stressing your lives. That happens because this is a very soothing, calming breath. So the more you start watching your breath and start breathing diaphragmatically, the easier it is for you to feel less stressed and more in control of your inner happenings. And the more you start watching your inner happenings, the more it will manifest on the outside no matter what you do. Now there are three connections of our breath. What are the three connections of your breath? Mind and body. So it's our own connection to our own mind and body. The second connection is to the world outside of us. If we are breathing, we are in this world. If we are not breathing, we are not here, right? But there's third connection of breath. What is the third connection of the breath? First is to our own mind and body. Second is to the world outside of us. Third, can you breathe for the past? No. Can you breathe for the future? Can you think for the past? Yes. Can you think for the future? In fact, your thoughts always pull you either into the past or into the future. Either we are worrying about something that has already happened, regretting or thinking about something, or we are worrying about something that's about to happen. And on either of those we have no control. Past has already happened and future we don't know. But breathing we cannot do for the past or future. That means what? That means your breath is your connection to the present moment. That's the only connection to the present moment. So if you need to stay in the present moment, you need to keep coming back to your breath. Otherwise, you're always out of this moment and you're thinking about something else. And that's why breathing is a very good meditative tool. If any of you have tried meditation, you may have heard that close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath. Anybody has practiced that? Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Okay, so that's the reason, because your breath keeps you in the current moment. You cannot breathe for the past or the future, and that's why the breath is a very de-stressing tool, because you can forget about your anxieties, your stress, and keep coming back to your breath. Now these are the 3 connections of the breath. There are 7 qualities of a good breath. Any guesses? What do you think are some qualities of a good breath? We already started with 1, which is what? Deep, right? Engaging your diaphragm. What is the second quality of a good breath? Holding the breath. Okay, why do you think it's a good quality?
It's part of yoga, that's how I know.
It's part of yoga, okay. So actually, if it's a normal breath, you shouldn't be holding it. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Your breath should be evenly flowing. Inhale, smoothly evolving into exhale. Exhale, smoothly evolving into inhale. But you can hold your breath for a specific reason. It's a technique. But that's not the every single breath that should be. We are talking of a quality of a good breath that will be your everyday breath, not a specific pranayam technique. So deep, and your inhale smoothly evolving into exhale, exhale smoothly evolving into inhale, so it's a smooth. The next quality is keeping it even. That means inhale and exhale of equal length. What do you think is the reason for that? Is it important to have your inhale and exhale of equal length? Does it matter?
Yes.
Yes, why does it matter?
Equal oxygen coming in and amount of carbon dioxide.
Equal coming and equal going out. Incoming breath is energizing breath and outgoing breath is cleansing breath. So if your incoming breath is longer than the outgoing breath, that means you're bringing in more oxygen. At the same time, it builds more tension in the body. So if you're suffering from hypertension, high blood pressure, know that you're bringing in more oxygen and releasing less. And on the other hand, if you have longer exhalations and shorter inhalations, what does that do? You will feel more lethargic, more depressed. You will not feel like doing anything because you are releasing more than bringing in. But as breathing techniques or pranayam techniques, there is a reason why we would want to have inhalations longer than exhalations or exhalations longer than inhalations. For example, in the morning it will be better if you have longer inhalations and shorter exhalations because you want to feel energized. Unless you go to bed in the morning and you work in the night shift, then it's different. But if you want to feel energized in the morning, it's a good idea to have longer inhalations and shorter exhalations. Whereas in the night when you're ready to go to bed and for some reason you can't fall asleep, there are too many things happening. How should your breathing be at that time? Longer exhalations and shorter inhalations. You consciously make your exhalations longer to release the stress, to let go of whatever has been bothering you, and then bring in less and less energy so you can fall asleep easily. Let's try quickly a longer exhalation breathing technique. This is called humming breath or Bhramari Pranayama. If you can keep your eyes closed for a second, I highly recommend that. So start with taking a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, remember, draw the navel in when you exhale and just hum through your nose. Focus fully on that sound. This is sound meditation, not the yoga. Take a nice deep breath in with your eyes closed and exhale, drawing the navel in, hum. Let's do 2 more of these. So deep inhale. Very good. One last time, deep inhale and one humming exhale. after your humming breaths? Did you feel relaxed? Yes? Okay. Let's do a quick experiment here. I am going to start my timer here for a minute, and I am going to have you count your exhalations, inhalations. Count your exhalations, inhalation just like you are breathing normally. Don't change it in any way. Exhale, inhale, count as 1. So increment count with for each set of exhale, inhale. I'm going to start the timer now. So close your eyes and count your exhalations, inhalations. So even if you're not counting, please let those who are counting, please respect their time with themselves. I suggest keeping a little bit quiet, just for a minute. Okay, so how many breaths did you get? 8. Exhale, inhale together, right? 9. 15. 10. 10. Okay. 8, 9, 15. 6. Very good. Okay. 16. Okay. So usually on an average, the breathing rate is about 15 to 20 breaths per minute. We're going to make the experiment deeper now, counting the breaths with the humming breath. So one more time, count your breaths, another 1 minute timer here. Inhale, this time all of you are breathing humming breath. Those who did the 1 minute counting before, please do the humming breaths and count your breaths one more time. Start it now. Make sure it's a humming breath. Okay, so how many? 5, 4, 6, 5. And you went down from almost 10 or 15, from 16 to 5. 5 from 6, you had just 6 in the beginning, 6 to 5. And you had 5 or 9 to 5. So you see this drastic reduction in the rate of breathing by making your exhalations longer than inhalations. If you have longer exhalations, that's a very good way to relax, to de-stress. Instead of winding up with coffee and winding down with wine, it's a good idea to wind up with your inhalations and wind down with your longer exhalations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vidya. May your good work continue for years and inspire many. Please. Now,